It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Thursday, October 17th, 2024. And I'm moving the sheep and the bulls to a new row here. I got one wire down, I got one wire to go. The sheep and the bulls were all happy in the far east side of this row where there's plenty of grass. But when I set up the wire, they started watching me. And I think they knew that we were going to move them soon. So Yami is leading the way there. Yami's the sheep in the front there. Her right leg is black. She has a black head. And they're confused because they see a wire. They're like, do I jump it? What am I supposed to do? Let me get the wire down for him now. The wire's off right now. I don't like to have the wire on when I'm putting up new fence. So there they go. Oh, they got caught up in the wire there. All right, you laggards. That one's walking funny, back left hoof. I was able to catch one of the rams recently, and he had a lot of overgrown hooves. And so I need to get in there with the rams and fix up their hooves. I imagine it's the same with these. Yeah, that guy has overgrown hooves too. She needs a trim. This one as well. It's uncomfortable for them to walk like that, and if I let them grow too long, they'll start getting some bone problems and all kinds of issues. But they need to be wearing those hooves down on the sand and the dirt. And we don't have too many rocks out here, but one of the reasons why they get those overgrown hooves is they're eating too much protein. Now, I'm not feeding these guys at all. I'm giving them some minerals and water, and otherwise everything out here is what they eat. So if they're able to find that much protein out here, then they're just probably genetically disposed to have long hooves. And since eventually I don't want to have to trim any hooves, you know, if I have 300 or 600 of these sheep running around, I definitely don't have the time to trim the hooves. Although I could certainly afford to hire people to work with me and have a proper chute to make it easy. But I'd rather run an operation where the sheep can stay out here by themselves. I move them every once in a while, and then I only mess with them when it's time to bring them in for sale. So breeding purposes too, to keep them all on a cycle, on a schedule, make my life easier, you know. This is the 2-year-old bull. He likes to get friendly with me, which scares the bejeebers out of me. He is a big guy. I found out too late you're not supposed to pet cows and bulls on the head, especially bulls. They like being touched on the head, and they like to push with their head. And when they like you, they will lift you up with their head, which is not good. Unless you're a bird or a cow. So the sheep are letting me get very close to them. That you can see the back left hoof on that one is just like flattened out, you know. So yeah, she's just not walking comfortably. This one's going after, I think that's crabgrass. No, that's something else. I think that's Dallas grass, actually. Dallas grass is starting to grow again. You know. She's got long hooves too. I think one of the hooves broke on the right, on the left hoof there, the front. I think that one broke. At least I'm not seeing hoof rot. I'm not seeing hoof diseases. The ram with the long hoof, I smelled the hoof, and it smelled a little bit like hoof rot. There's a certain smell to it, but that could also be just the manure and dirt that he was in. But that's one of the ways you can detect it. And what I want to do is just allow the animals to develop natural immunity to it. And also, if I keep rotating them like this, it shouldn't be transferring to them through the soil. Especially now that it's dry. It's been dry this summer, and it's early October, no rain. I think I got a sprinkle like a week ago, just a sprinkle though. It probably evaporated before it hit the ground. But just dry, 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 which is what the climate the sheep like. Sheep don't drink very much water. They don't pee rivers of pee. They just pee a little bit at a time. And they like the dry climate. That's good for them. It keeps the parasite count down. It keeps the hoof rot and the hoof scald to a minimum. And it's just good for them all around, you know. You can also see that I don't see any flies on these sheep. There's just a couple flies on the cap bull here on the back. So I guess the flies aren't excited about eating sheep manure. Looks like a sheep pooed on that sheep. Somehow the poop was, maybe the sheep was lying down and the sheep just relieved herself right on top of her, you know. These young ones are big and fat. The older ones aren't doing too bad either. But the young ones, my goodness. And these white ones that I bought. Look at all that fat. That one there, the one in the back. I don't think that's one of the St. Croix. I think that's a white dorper. She has just fat on top of fat. You can see it jiggle when she walks. Yeah, that's not one of mine. Something on her back. I see tiny little flies on her back. There's like a wound or something. I'm gonna get close to see if I can see what it is. I don't know. Don't know. 0268. So the left side should be filled in. That's where their stomach is. That's filled in nicely. So she has a little bit of, you know, loose wool. That just came right off. So if there was something nice to rub on, she'd probably be rubbing to get that loose wool off. So anyway, last row is just like the previous rows. They overgraze in the west and they don't graze enough in the east. In the west, the ground is recovering by putting down these weeds, this kind of ground cover, but the sheep love to eat that. And so they just eat all of those weeds. And so the ground is bare when they're done with it, you know. And I'm not one way or the other saying this is a good thing or a bad thing. Hey, Yami! I don't have anything for you, but it's nice to see you. You can see the goatweed leaves are all over her. The goatweed's drying out now. You know, you can harvest that, make a tea out of it, and it'll be a nice, what is it called? Stool softener, I guess. I forget the name of it. But it works. My son was backed up and he took a sip of that tea and he said the next morning everything came out. The way it works is it irritates the muscle, the lining of the stomach. And it causes the outer lining to slough off a little bit, or just irritates it enough that the poop moves down the chute a little faster. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you. Have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.